Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
A whole bunch of people sent me this story, and this story is an update on a story I did about, 300 videos ago. Last week, no. And so this is an update. Some of these facts will sound familiar, but I'll be honest with you. When people started sending me this story, my first thought was, well, it sounds familiar, but they all sound familiar. And so I had to double check to make sure, and yes, I did do a video about this guy, but it's another one of these civil asset forfeiture cases. And the prototypical case that we hear about is someone is traveling to go buy something big with cash. They encounter law enforcement who takes their money and says, we think you're money laundering or you're a dealer or something, and if you want your money back, sue us. So this is a guy who is traveling to Arizona to buy a truck for $39,500. Now, like I said, I covered the story previously, but there is a slight update here because the appeals court will hear the case on the Phoenix police taking a man's $39,500 without proof of any crime. And the Arizona Republic, Perry Vandell wrote this version of the story, widely reported. I actually punched in forfeiture, $39,500, and all these stories popped up. A man that Phoenix police seized $39,500 from without charging him with anything criminal will have his chance to get the money back, but it's going to be a year from when it was taken to when he gets heard on this. The man's name is Jerry Johnson from Charlotte, North Carolina. In August of 2020, he flew to Arizona in the hope of buying a semi-truck for his small shipping company. He's already got 2 trucks, wanted to buy a third. He had found a posting for a truck he wanted at a Phoenix-based auction, and he flew to Phoenix with $39,500 in cash on him. He previously told the Arizona Republic that he chose to travel with cash to avoid incurring fees from trying to withdraw the cash outside of his usual bank because he didn't have a branch of his bank near where he's going. And he double-checked and looked online, and it turns out that it's not illegal to travel with cash domestically. And so he said he actually checked the laws. Is it illegal to travel in America with cash? The answer is no, it's not illegal. So the sad part is, if he had simply looked up the phrase traveling with cash dangers in America, he would have gotten a ton of articles on civil asset forfeiture, and he would have understood that the enemy when you're traveling with cash is TSA and law enforcement. So flying, of course, will get the TSA all over you, and then they're the ones who report you to the police for carrying cash. Phoenix officers in plain clothes stopped Johnson as he retrieved his luggage and interrogated him about why he'd come to Phoenix and if he was carrying any large sums of cash. Johnson explained that he was there to purchase another truck for his trucking company. The officer accused Johnson of being involved in a money laundering scheme. Think about this. If you had money to launder, would you put it in a suitcase and fly around the country with it to launder it? So they accused him of money laundering and began asking questions about who had purchased his plane ticket. He explained to them that he had purchased his plane ticket. And then the officer filled out a form and said, sign this form or spend the night in jail. Your choice. So Johnson previously told the Republic he didn't understand what he was signing at the time, but he later learned it was a waiver form indicating that the money that he had was not his. So they actually have a form that's already filled out. And it says, this money that you have is not yours. Here, sign this. Now, think about this. If you are in a business or any kind of organization where something happens so frequently that you find yourselves creating from scratch the same thing over and over again, you finally go, this happens so much. Let's just make a form. And we'll have a form, and you just fill in the blanks. So we'll have the person's name here, the amount of money that they don't have here, and they'll sign it here. And so they actually have these forms. And so when they grab this guy, this $39,500, they fill that in, fill in his name, go here, sign this. They have the forms pre-printed and ready to go to where you can say, the money I've got on me is not mine. Again, they told him, sign the form or spend the night in jail, your choice. So he didn't understand what he was signing at the time, but he later learned that it was a form indicating that the money wasn't his. So they let him go because he signed the form, but they kept his money because it wasn't his money. He then hired an attorney and provided business documents, bank statements, and tax returns to prove the money was his and to prove that he'd gotten it through a legitimate business enterprise. Now, here's the thing. I've had people say, Steve, the civil asset forfeiture is so easy to beat. Anytime you're traveling with money, just bring your bank receipts. Well, number one, it doesn't prove that you're not about to go break a law with the money. And number two, that just shows that it was in the bank at one point in time. They're going to say, yeah, criminals use banks too. You put the money into the bank, then you withdrew it, and it's still the fruit of a crime because it was the fruit of a crime when you put it in. So no, that's not a simple solution because this man here provided business documents, bank statements, and tax returns to all prove that the money came from a legitimate business enterprise. The court deemed the evidence was insufficient and refused to award any of the money back to him. They said, that's not enough. So for those of you, again, who say, just carry bank receipts, well, carry bank receipts, tax returns, and the books of your company, and it's still not enough. Think about the standard of proof here. How much do you have to show to prove that the money is actually yours if bank statements, tax returns, and the books of your company won't do it? Johnson was researching laws surrounding civil forfeiture when he came across the Institute for Justice, Virginia-based nonprofit. They've written about and litigated civil forfeiture cases. I've mentioned them before. They're doing God's work. Attorneys with the Institute for Justice learned more about his case and agreed to appeal the lower court's decision. The lower court was handled by the attorney he hired. When that didn't work out, now the Institute for Justice is going to handle the appeal. Paul Avilar, managing attorney for the Institute for Justice, Arizona office, previously told Republic that Maricopa County Superior Court erred in not returning the money, and its refusal to do so violated state and constitutional law. The Arizona legislature, meanwhile, has since passed civil forfeiture reform bills that bar law enforcement from coercing people into signing those waivers we talked about and make it more difficult for the government to keep seized assets without criminal conviction. But their excuse is, well, this happened before that law existed. See, things have changed, but that law doesn't mean that what we were doing in the past was wrong. It's just a change in the law. Those who supported reform argued that civil forfeiture laws at the time made getting one's seized assets back financially unfeasible, as the attorney fees often necessary to file a legitimate claim often exceed the monetary value of the assets. Maricopa County Attorney Alistair Adell opposed the reforms and wrote a letter to the governor urging him to not sign the bill, arguing it would allow criminal syndicates to operate unhindered. It would also allow people to fly into our state and buy trucks here. We don't want that, do we? I made that last part up. After the governor signed the bill, Adele indicated she might attempt to get new legislation passed next session revising the reforms. So this county attorney is very upset and does not like the fact that they've made civil asset forfeiture harder. She wants it to be the way it used to be. Institute for Justice says Johnson's story helped change the law. Although the way his money was seized is no longer legal in Arizona, he must continue his legal battle if he hopes to get it back because the law changed after his money was stolen. Oral arguments for Johnson's appeal are happening now in the Arizona Court of Appeals. Avilar previously told the Republic that Institute for Justice would take Johnson's case to the Arizona Supreme Court if the Arizona Court of Appeals agreed with the lower court's decision. What happened here was contrary to Arizona statutes and contrary to the Constitution. And I hope that if the Arizona Court of Appeals and the Arizona Supreme Court rule against the man, I hope that they take this to the U.S. Supreme Court. And there have been other people who've tried to get these cases before the U.S. Supreme Court recently. And as of right now, the U.S. Supreme Court still theoretically says that, yes, if they take money or things from you and they accuse the money or the things of wrongdoing, then you have to defend that stuff by proving that it's innocent and that you have the right to get it back. And it puts the standard of proof on you, and it puts the cost on you. And of course, that's what's so stupid about all of this. And yes, there are people right now going, Steve, Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, unlawful searches and seizures, due process, life, liberty, property. What's this all about? That's all been argued before to previous Supreme Courts over the years. And this notion goes back a long, long time. And unfortunately, It's going to take the U.S. Supreme Court to actually say, you know something, this is wrong, and change it. And they'll be forced, in essence, to reverse themselves from many, many, many years ago. But we can hope, can't we? We can hope. So we are making small steps. The Institute for Justice is doing great work on this, but we're making small steps. And every time one of these stories hits the news, it helps publicize it. When somebody wins, it puts a little dent in it. But we need some court cases at the appellate level, at the state Supreme Court levels, and at the SCOTUS level to make this go away completely, because this is a scourge on our nation. So again, Justin, Frederick, Michael, Paul, Edward, and David, thanks for sending it. As I said, it's an update to an episode I did about 300 or 400 videos back. From the Arizona Republic, Perry Vandell wrote it. Appeals court to hear case on Phoenix police taking man's $39,500 without proof of crime. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Thought for the day. When eating stewed prunes, is 2 too few and 3 too many?